This is for you.
Honestly, being able to play that intro when we have Giants and Cowboys fans, that is when it just hits a little bit differently. What is going on, you guys? This is your boy Joe Castro, a.k.a. Philly Fresco, here with my guy Brandon, as always. It is Philly the podcast. So we are on to pick number 11 and the New York Football Giants. And to do the pick with me, I had to go get one of the best of the best. You know what I'm saying? That we wouldn't make a pick for the Giants without the face of the Giants fans, realistically. We got the Entertainah from the Entertainah Talkin Sports. What's going on, my guy?
I appreciate you guys for having me on. And at least you guys didn't show the miracle at the Meadowlands Part 2, because if you did, I would have just left the stream right away. There's no way I'm sitting through that again. But all kidding aside, man, I took a look at your mock draft. I'm excited to jump into some football talk with you guys, and couple of surprise picks in your top 10. I mean, a couple of picks surprised me in your top 10.
Yeah, a couple surprised us as well, especially that Dallas pick last week. But let's hop right into it. So let's talk real quick about the Giants. You know, the Giants going forward, Joe Judge. You guys got, some new faces over there. How do you feel overall about Joe Judge and the direction of the Giants so far?
I'm a big fan of Joe Judge. I like the hire when we made it. I'll be the first to say it wasn't nobody really knew who Joe Judge was. And people ask me all the time, like, what was your initial reaction? And I did a lot of videos for all the coaching candidates that we were bringing in. And I remember that every one of my videos got like 5,000 or 6,000 views. That one got like 800. Like, nobody cared. Nobody thought there was any chance we were going to hire the guy. And his opening press conference, I was sold. And it was refreshing to have a younger, out-of-the-box head coach. It's not like something the Giants would typically do, kind of like what you guys did with Sirianni. But I really like the hire. He's got ties to Belichick. He's got ties to Saban. He's a no-nonsense guy. And I think he's building a good culture with the New York Giants. And, some people may look at the Giants' record last year and they may say, but I think they exceeded expectations when you factor everything in, the pandemic, the schedule that we played. And you even look at some of our losses, like we barely lost to the Bucs, 25-23. Should have beat you guys both times. I'm just saying. Evan Ingram drops the ball. We had 2 touchdowns called back against us against the Cowboys. We could have easily won 9 games last year, and I think there was a lot of improvements. The defense definitely surprised big time. I think we had a top 10 defense in football, and nobody saw that coming into the year. So I think there's a lot to build on. Obviously, the offense has to get a lot better, though.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of just the Eagles in general, what was your initial reaction when you're sitting there at the end of the season, you think you're about to go to the playoffs because Jalen Hurts is looking good, and then all of a sudden Nate Sudfeld comes in the game? I got to know what you thought as soon as you saw Jalen Hurts pull that game.
All right, so I was kind of prepared for that to happen because I remember seeing it on Twitter before the game that the Eagles, Peterson, I think, came out and said that they were considering, or I don't know if he said it or an insider said it, whatever. Somebody said it, that they were considering bringing in Sudfeld as the game wore along. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not going to cry about it. The Giants only won 6 games. We didn't deserve to go to the playoffs to begin with. My personal opinion about what Peterson did, and I think it's why he's fired. I don't think it was the right thing to do. If you're going to do that, just do it. Don't start him and then take him out in the fourth quarter. That didn't make a whole lot of sense. I think it completely tore up your locker room. And I think that's why Peterson's gone. You saw some of your players after the fact. But it is what it is. You guys moved on. I think you guys made a mistake hanging on the Roseman. I think you should have just started from scratch. The Giants, in my opinion, made that same mistake in 2015 when we kept the GM, Jerry Reese, and we fired Coughlin. I think that you should have done both together, but that's just my opinion.
Now to keep on reactions real quick, because I heard your dog in the background real quick, and I was watching your stream the other day. And, she might be an Eagles fan, as you said. She might be. She was going crazy when Carson got traded. So what are your thoughts? We talked about it a little bit in the backstage, but, what are your thoughts as far as Carson leaving the division, leaving the Eagles? Kind of makes Daniel Jones look like the prized possession in the NFC East right now.
I'm going to tell you what, man. I think that you guys got as good as a deal as you could have gotten. So if you're an Eagles fan, Obviously, you still probably have ties to Carson Wentz. Well, not all you guys, but probably a portion of your fan base still loves Carson Wentz and are upset that you traded him. But the fact of the matter is this: Carson Wentz was never coming back. He didn't want to be there. He was forcing his way off the team, and for good reason. I understand it. He wasn't happy there anymore. You went out there, you drafted a second-round quarterback the year before, which really didn't make a whole lot of sense from his perspective. He came off a really good year where he kind of carried your football team. He had no wide receivers to support him. I think that messed with him mentally, just my personal opinion. And I think he's happy to be gone, but I think you guys got as much as you could have expected. A third-round pick and a second-round pick that will become a first if he plays over 75% of his snaps. So if you're an Eagles fan, I think you should be happy with the trade, not necessarily happy that you lost Wentz. As far as Wentz to the Colts, I think it's a perfect fit. He goes back to the guy that was his offensive coordinator while he was there with you guys, where he was awesome. The Colts got a great offensive line. They've got great young weapons. I think Wentz is going to be very good in Indianapolis, and I think they're set up if he could regain that 2017 form, which is a big ask. But if he can, under Frank Reich, Colts are one of the 3 or 4 favorites, in my opinion, to win Super Bowl next year. That's how good I think the rest of their team is.
Yeah, obviously, I feel like, I don't want to say obviously, but it feels like that was the pick that he wanted. He wanted to go to Indianapolis, after everything coming out and obviously him going there now. Seems like he wanted to go there. We'll see if it works out. I hope he plays at least 75% of the snaps.
Of course,
that's really all I can say right now. Like, a lot of people, to your point, you said, a lot of people are upset he's gone. Am I upset he's gone? I'm more upset about the situation. I'm more upset about how it went. I think I would be upset if that was anybody on this team. I feel like he wanted this. So to me, it's like, you don't want to be my friend. I'm not going to, kick and scream at your door hoping that you come back. So it is what it is. Like, I actually want to know how you feel, Brandon, though, because I had to go live. You were at work. So what were your initial thoughts when the whole Carson Wentz stuff happened?
I mean, like you said, this is what he wanted. So if anything, he has more pressure on him now than even when he was in Philly. Now he got exactly what he wanted. He got the coach he wanted. He gets the small market he wants. And if he stinks it up, then that's just on him at this point. But at the same time, I still was kind of like, it was bittersweet. It was just like, finally it's over. We get to finally see what the trade is. But then on top of that, if he kills it, then it's just like, we're going to sit back and be like, well, we just let Carson Wentz go. But if he is just okay, then, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, there's, like you said, if he doesn't want to be our friend, we can't just be kicking and screaming about it.
Yeah, he's going to face what he faced in Philadelphia. He's going to face that anywhere. So I don't think that, maybe not to the level of it. I know Philadelphia fans are we're a little bit extra, I think that's saying it nicely. But, I think if you go to Indianapolis and I can't say their name. If you go to Indy and you stink it up, you're going to be dealing with the same media scrutiny that you dealt with out here. So I think he's a little mentally soft, but it is what it is. To stay on quarterbacks, what are your thoughts on Danny Jones? I mean, you guys are going to come into that point where it's like, pay up or move on. So, like, what are your thoughts on him moving forward?
Yeah, we're kind of in the same spot, like you said, kind of like the Jets were last year going into the third year with Darnold. You didn't, that obviously didn't work out. Now, Jets are probably going to move on from him. So, I think it's a put up or shut up year for Jones going into his third year. I try to be as fair as I can with Jones. There's some Giants fans that are just completely done with him, and there's some Giants fans that just think he's the second coming of Peyton Manning. And I try to stay in the middle. I don't think many Giants fans feel that way right now, but they did going into last year. And I try to stay in the middle, and I'm still kind of in the middle, where I feel like he has – what are you barking for? The door's open. I feel like that he has enough talent to be a good quarterback in the NFL if you support – Hold on one second. The door's open.
That was a flag was five for everybody that was wondering. His dog was going crazy in the live when he went.
My power pulled to you. It like all of a sudden just flickered on and off, which means the Wi-Fi went out, and I think it's rebooting now. So it may be.
Yeah, you're getting better. You were stuck like this. You're like.
She really likes Carson Wentz.
I was forever surprised.
But sorry about that.
You're good.
But as far as Jones goes, I think he has the raw natural talent if you provide him with a good team to be a good quarterback in the NFL. That's what I've kind of always felt. The question is he a good enough quarterback when he gets that second contract and you lose some of those pieces as he matures to still be able to win football games? And I don't know. I honestly can't say whether he's there yet or not. Last year, he had a lot of things going against him. You had a new scheme. You had the pandemic. Saquon Barkley goes down after week 1. We didn't have any good weapons really at the wide receiver position. Ingram was dropping balls left and right. The offensive line was a travesty the first half of the year. We had 3 new guys trying to learn to play with one another that had never done so before. And he got hurt. So I think he could be a good quarterback. I think he could be a borderline top 10 quarterback if all things go right next year. I could see like kind of a Baker Mayfield like third year where Mayfield regressed in his second year and then they helped him out. They got some pieces on the offense and you saw him mature and become a better quarterback in year 3. And that's what I'm hoping for. But I think it's possible.
To keep it on Saquon, now that you've had time to take his injury out of it, do you believe that pick is justified at this point? Like Saquon was the best pick at that moment, or can you look back and be like, maybe we should have went a different direction than getting a running back?
Yeah, that's the most popular question that Giants fans give all the time now, and everybody was second guessing that pick when we made it. First thing I'll say is it's easy to play Monday morning GM 2 years or 3 years after the fact for everybody that's bitching and moaning about the pick. But on draft night, like 85 to 90% of these people that are bitching and moaning wanted either Josh Rosen or Sam Darnold. So those people would have been even worse than taking Barkley. So that's the first thing I'll say. Like everybody that's bitching and moaning, you guys wanted Sam Darnold. You guys wanted Josh Rosen. But playing Monday morning GM 3 years after the fact, sure, we should have traded down. And I thought we should have traded down on draft night. I wasn't a big fan of any of the quarterbacks really outside of Mayfield, who I actually really liked, but he wasn't there. And if there was a trade there, yeah, I thought we should have traded down to that 5-6 area. But here's what I'm going to say. For everybody that says, oh, you should have taken Quentin Nelson at 2, and we should have. We should have been rebuilding. Quentin Nelson would have been the better long-term pick to solidify that offensive line. But what I'll say is, and I say it all the time, if the Giants took Quentin Nelson at 2, there's only been 12 guards taken in the top 5 picks since 1936. So that is even more rare to take a guard that early than a running back. And if Barkley went out and got drafted by the Cleveland Browns, like Chubb did, which I think he would have, with the 4th pick instead of Denzel Ward, we'll never know, and became a great running back, Giants fans would have bitched and moaned about that because we wouldn't have been winning football games with Quentin Nelson. The team wasn't good enough yet, so we still would have been losing. And then people would have complained that Barkley was putting up numbers with the Browns. So the Giants should have traded down, but in my opinion, no matter who we picked there at number 2, Giants fans would have complained about it.
See, that's how I feel about a lot of things lately. Like, look, like I've only started. I've only had this channel. We've had this channel for like 7 months now, blowing up pretty quickly. It's a beautiful thing. I love it, but I can only imagine because I've been watching you for a while, to be honest. Even though I'm an Eagles fan, you gotta keep up on the competition, right? But so I've been just getting all the same questions. So once you started, I was just like, I feel it, man. I know exactly. You've probably been asked that question.
No, I love talking about it though. I love talking about that scenario. I love it. I love talking about it.
Yeah, and just shout out to Max Webster on the $2. He said you pick. Your pick still Chase for Philly, even honestly, yeah, I would still say that. I would still probably go with Chase. It's just the best player out there. What are your thoughts on that, though, Brandon? Real quick.
I agree. I mean, unless like you've been saying, and I'm still reluctant and kind of against getting a quarterback, but unless you really believe in one of those top 3-4 quarterbacks this year, other than that, you can build a team around Hurts and still get one of the best players. If it's Chase, I like Chase. I don't think Devontae Smith's going to fall. I think Chase might fall to us, and I believe getting him would help Hurts, especially develop in our offense.
Yeah. And to ask you real quick to kind of mold around this question, I know we talked a little bit off stream about there was some surprise picks. Both of us were kind of surprised as far as who got picked. Are there any players, I should say, that you're looking at and like, damn, I wish that they would have fell to the Giants, or I can't believe they took them? Like, what are your thoughts so far on the 10 coming in?
Well, my mock draft, I had I didn't have Devontae Smith 3. I had Lawrence 1. I had Wilson 2, so that was as expected. I had Chase 3. I actually think Chase is the best wide receiver in this draft class.
Me too.
I have Chase 3. I don't know. I might have the Eagles taking a quarterback at this point in time if I was doing a mock today. But it all depends, like you said, on if they really like one. If the Eagles really like one of these 4 quarterbacks, I think they're going to go quarterback.
Yeah.
But they have to really like him. You can't force a quarterback pick. So, but I'd probably have Chase 3. I had Fields 4, so the same pick there. I had Sewell 5, same pick there. 6, this was a while ago. I had Waddle going to you guys, but that would change now. I would either have a quarterback, or maybe a defensive player there, possibly a wide receiver. I wouldn't be shocked. You guys, the Eagles are the toughest team to mock for because you guys could go so many ways. I've seen Pitts. People say that Pitts is a good fit with the Sirianni offense. You guys like your tight ends. You want to trade Ertz. So you guys could take literally so many different positions there. You guys are the toughest team to mock for. But obviously, I don't hate the pick. I think Chase is great if he's there at 6. Trey Lance at 7 is interesting to me. That's an interesting one. Wait. That's the Lions, right?
Yeah, and that's after the trade. That was after the trade.
That was after they got Jared Goff.
Yeah. So now let me explain real quick. So shout out to my guy Speak Easy. He just signed with Woodward. Yeah, he just signed with Woodward Sports. So he's doing his thing. Shout out to my guy, man. He's a really good dude. But so yeah, his thought process behind it was that he wants, or he feels that the Lions will move on from Goff in 2 years. He feels Trey Lance is a guy you can sit for a year and that would bring the most out of him. So he feels that would coincide.
Kind of like the Packers pick with
exactly.
With Jordan.
I don't think the Packers would ever do that in the top 10, but
exactly.
That's kind of his mindset behind it. So also a lot of these guys, which I'm sure we'll get into with you as well. A lot of these guys wanted to trade back. A lot of their first reaction was, well, can we move back? And it's hard enough getting creators on here, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, I'm not doing all that. But so that was to give a little bit of a background to that story. But I am surprised by that one too, to be honest.
He can say Patrick Mahomes was drafted at, what was it, the 10th pick, and he sat for a year.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I don't. That's not going to happen, in my opinion. I don't. Especially in today's NFL, you don't draft a quarterback in the top 10 to sit him for potentially at least like a year and a half behind a guy like Jared Goff. Even though I'm not a Goff fan and I agree he's going to be cut after 2 years, I'd be shocked if they took a quarterback at this point. I do have Lance going 8. I think Lance goes 8, where Patrick Surtain went. But at that point, if 4 quarterbacks are gone, that's not a bad pick. Parsons to 9 makes sense, even though I could argue the Broncos may need a cornerback now after the cuts they've made. But they could have went Caleb Farley. So, but Parsons is a good pick. And then the second biggest shocker to me, though, in your top 10 is Kyle Pitts.
Yes.
Shocked all of us.
and don't get me wrong, Kyle Pitts is a great player and a great prospect, but that's like the last thing the Dallas Cowboys need. Like, if I'm the Cowboys there and I'm sitting there, I'm saying to myself, okay, I've got an older offensive line. I've got guys that I may need to replace there, or I'm taking Caleb Farley. I need help in my secondary. They already got like 3 great wide receivers. So I'm like, I don't like that Kyle Pitts pick. I think that's a bad pick by the Cowboys.
Yeah, and even I feel like they explained it exactly how you explained it, which baffled us even more. They were like, yeah, we don't really need him at all, but that's our pick. And we're just like, wait, hold up. So like their thought process was, I guess they're going to trade one of those wide receivers and, move on with Kyle Pitts and he can play tight end. And as an Eagles fan, please do pick him. That I'm sure that will, save your defense is picking Kyle Pitts. But yeah, that's who they went with. I mean, I don't even know how to explain it, to be honest. I don't know what they were thinking.
I'm going to be honest. The first couple of mocks I saw Pitts going to the Cowboys. And I was like, what the hell? Like when it first started coming out. Haven't seen it since, but I don't like that fit at all. I think Pitts is going to end up going to one of 4 places. I think it'll be either you guys. I think it'll be either the Panthers, the Giants, or New England. I think he's going to end up in one of those 4 places.
I can see that. Yeah, I've heard a lot of you guys liking the Giants. You was gonna say something, Brady?
No, I was gonna say I like him going to New England. That'd be a good fit. And before we get to this question down here, since you said the Giants, are you kind of like, I don't want to say giving up on Evan Ingram, but does he frustrate you that he's so athletic and he should be this top tight end, and then he's dropping, like you said, you should have beat the Eagles, but then that ball just goes through his hands?
Evan Ingram, and I said it today on my Discord, Evan Ingram is like a girl from 100 feet away that looks like a 10, and then you get up close to her and she's got a mustache. That's what Evan Ingram is. He looks like this pretty wide receiver. He's got all the tools to get open, but the guy is just missing something. One year he'll get hurt, he'll miss 4 games. The next year he's got 12 drops or whatever he had this year. There's just something about him, and a tight end should never cost you football games. He cost us at least 2 last year. So I'm not on the Evan Ingram train. I would keep him because I don't think you're going to be able to get enough for him at this point for the last year of his rookie deal, and then I'd probably let him go the next year. But if I'm the Giants and Kyle Pitts ended up on this team, I'd probably go out there with, a lot of 2 tight end sets. Like you said, you can move Ingram. Both those guys could play a little wide receiver. Ingram, you can move outside. He's athletic enough to do it. You could get creative for a year, but I don't view Ingram. I think this would be the last year with Ingram on the Giants.
Yeah, see, I like Pitts. I'm a fan of Pitts, and I kind of fell onto the Pitts train a little bit early. Like, me and Brandon started looking at some of his highlights and everything, and we're liking what we saw. But once you dive a little bit deeper, once you're at the 6th pick, I feel like you have to be elite at something, and at the 6th pick, I feel like there'll be so many, and even possibly at the number 11 pick, depending on how quarterbacks go and how this draft goes, you might end up with one of the top receivers still available. So do you take a tight end / wide receiver that's really good at both? That's maybe you can make an argument that he's a top 5 receiver, depending on what he does at his, pro day and stuff, being Pitts, you know what I'm saying? You can make an argument that he might be that type of guy, but he can't block great. So he's not I don't think he's off the board type of guy that's just going to fit in wherever you put him. He's still got things to work on. So I hesitate with him. That's the only thing that I hesitate with him about is his blocking and a lot of his technical stuff. I think people love his size. People love the athleticism, but we've seen that not work. So that's the only thing that kind of gets me worried about.
He kind of reminds me on the other side of the ball of Isaiah Simmons last year. Simmons was that guy that everybody was, especially Giants fan, everybody was in love with. He was not really a guy that had a defined position. He's kind of like Simmons to me, where Simmons was a guy that you don't know if he's really a linebacker, you don't know if he's really an edge, you don't know if he's really a slot, whatever. And it's kind of the same thing with Pitts, where I feel like he's not really a tight end, but he's not really a wide receiver because he doesn't have that dynamic speed that you'd want from a wide receiver. He's got the height, would definitely help in the red zone. He's a really good talent, and don't get me wrong, I would like him on the Giants, but I definitely also get why people are reluctant to want to take him in the first 10, 12, 15 picks of a draft.
Definitely. And then we'll get to this question real quick. I almost passed by it by accident. Shout out to Evil Eagle with the 199. He wants to know what your thoughts on Hurts is. Or are.
I just saw the Tana pick. Somebody just said the Tana pick's amazing. I just looked down and saw it. Above the donation. What does this guy think about Jalen Hurts? Evil Eagle says, to be honest with you, I haven't seen enough of him. What did he start 4 games for you guys?
Yeah.
The last game of the year, I watched the whole game. I think I watched one other of his starts too. He sucked in that game, in my opinion. The legs were good. He made plays with his legs. As a thrower, I was not impressed at all. But I think he's got talent. But here's what I'll say. Like I said at the top of the stream, if you guys like a quarterback in this draft, you should draft him. I don't think Jalen Hurts is that type of quarterback where you pass up on a guy that could be that you feel is a franchise-changing quarterback. I think you drafted Hurts to be a backup. I know it's weird that you drafted him as early as you did, but you guys still clearly believed in Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz the year before had an unbelievable year for you guys. He carried you guys to the playoffs. You were paying him $33 million a year. So I don't think you guys ever viewed him as a guy that was an unbelievable quarterback prospect. That's just my opinion. And the fact that you're not paying him a lot of money because he was a second-round pick, I think it opens up the door for you guys, like I said, if you like one of these quarterbacks a lot, to still draft one. So I hope as a Giants fan that you guys view Hurts as your guy going forward because I don't think he's that good.
See, I needed you. I disagree. I think that he's, I think he has the intangibles and I think he can be worked with and be a good quarterback. But I did need you earlier because I did do my live stream where I was like, why the Eagles should probably draft the quarterback at 6. And when I tell you, I'm still wiping down the tomato off the walls. They hated that I brought that up. So let's get back to the draft real quick. Let's go over some of your needs, some of the team needs. I mean, there's some obvious stuff that we've talked about, but throughout the draft, what is the goal for the Giants of this draft?
I'm just laughing at your chat. Infamous 2K says 100% agree with the Giants fan. Probably the first and last time I'll ever say that. No, the goal for the Giants. Listen, it's hard to come with a defined goal before free agency because I don't know what holes they're going to plug. I don't know who we're going to lose. Obviously, Leonard Williams and Dalvin Tomlinson are two huge parts of our defense. They're both pending free agents. And who knows? Maybe we are able to orchestrate a tag and trade where we bring in Allen Robinson or Kenny Golladay, and that changes my mindset. But going into this draft and this offseason as a Giants fan, I think we have to end this. We have to go into next year saying to ourselves, Daniel Jones has the pieces where we could find out whether or not he's the guy. I don't want to end the 2021 season saying to myself, well, kind of like this year where you said, well, Jones didn't really have any good wide receivers. Barkley was down. Do what you have to do to support this guy. So that's what this offseason is about for me, whether that's bolstering that offensive line, whether it's getting him another piece in the wide receiving core. And I think they need to attack that. I think we need to leave this offseason confident. I think it's David Gettleman's job to leave this offseason confident with saying to ourselves, yeah, we've got a number one option for Daniel Jones at the wide receiver spot. So that's the biggest thing. But on defense, we definitely need another corner. We run a defense that wants to blitz a ton. And a lot of Giants fans overlook that because if you talk to a lot of Giants fans on Twitter, mainly Twitter, but on YouTube as well, they'll tell you, let's just take a wide receiver in all 7 rounds. Like, they don't even want to think about the offensive line. They don't even want to think about the defense. They're like, I laugh because you go back to 2016 when we went to the playoffs, we had a great defense, okay? That defense carried us to the playoffs, and we kind of just said, we're good. We went out there, we drafted Evan Ingram, who can't block. We signed Brandon Marshall, then the defense went to hell. So we can't lose sight of the football team. The offensive line still has a lot of work to do. The defense overachieved. Who's to say they're going to do that again? So it doesn't mean that we could take these other areas for granted. We definitely need to add a wide receiver, though. There's no doubt about it. But we got holes on that defense, too, and the offensive line.
Yeah. Now, this is a question that Joe came up with, and just sometimes how it falls.
I love that. I'm taking Joe's question.
I'm taking
disclaimer.
Joe's question. It is what it is. But is there a move that the Giants could make that would just make you furious in this draft?
In this draft? Well, nothing. I don't think anything is going to make me super furious outside of the first round. So it would have to be in the first round. It's tough, man, because taking a quarterback, but I don't think that's going to happen. So that I'm going to kind of, that's not happening. So, it's a good question because, and I'm going to talk about my options at 11. I wouldn't be upset if we took Rashawn Slater. I think we could definitely bolster up the right tackle. I know everybody wants to go wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver. Obviously, any one of the top 3 wide receivers are Pitts. I'm not going to go crazy. We need a weapon. On defense, I'm a corner guy. I'd be completely fine with taking a guy like Caleb Farley. I think we need it. And along, so, maybe if they reached, here's one thing that would make me furious. I'll tell you right now. This would make me furious. If the top 3 wide receivers were off the board and they reached and took Rashad Bateman, I'd be pissed. I would be freaking pissed if they reached and took the 4th best receiver at the 11th overall pick. That would piss me off.
I can hear that. I definitely hear that. There's a couple people I don't want us to reach for. I think Rashawn Slater, you said Rashawn Slater, right? The tackle you wouldn't be mad at. I think he's climbing up boards. I think he would be a good pick. I think you guys are in a similar situation like us. I think at that position, you just pick who the best player is, like who's going to give you the most instant impact at whatever position it is, obviously outside of quarterback. But, I think you guys can't necessarily go wrong. So I agree with you. So let's get into the pick. All right, let's get to draft night. You guys are on the clock. Who are you? We'll start with why you're going to pick them. Build the suspense, get the people going a little bit. And shout out to Zachary G on the 199 before we do get in that. I do not hope that Howie trades up, but I appreciate the 199.
Yeah.
I brought as soon as I saw you guys trade Carson Wentz, I brought that up on Twitter and said, is that a possibility? Because there's rumors.
I do not want us to.
I don't know if I actually like him. I like Zach Wilson, so I don't know if I'd be happy or not, but because you guys would have to give up a lot to go up and get him. Mm-hmm. But because there's rumors that the Jets may be sold on Darnold and want to give him another year. And if that's true, that's like a perfect match. If you guys want to move up and get your quarterback, because you'd get the quarterback of your choosing, whether it's Wilson or whether it's Fields or whoever. So if the Eagles want a quarterback, and they've shown in the past with Carson Wentz, they're not scared to move up and get him.
Yeah, that's the only way I'd be upset. Like I said, I did the video of like why we should, but that's the only way I'd be upset. Just because we are rebuilding. So for me to really get behind giving up assets, especially draft assets, when our cap is probably our biggest problem this year, I just can't get behind that. Like if you fall
What's
in
your
love with a
cap now? Like
quarterback,
negative? What's your cap now?
49,
Negative
I think.
300 million.
I think that's the starting point. I think that's like the tax on top of what our actual. And yeah, I just don't think we're in the position to do that. Like a lot of people say next year, wait till next year. If you're at 6, I can talk myself into being like, okay. If you look at the quarterbacks that we've picked early on, whether it be, first round, I'll stick to first rounders because we don't know what Jalen Hurts is. But if you look at the first rounders we've picked, we haven't really missed, as far as quarterbacks go. We're not really a turnstile when it comes to even coaches. You know what I'm saying? We've been here since 1933. I think this was like our 26th coach. So, I mean, we don't miss much. We just miss big. That's the problem in Philly. Like, we don't miss every single pick. It's just when we do, they break Randy Moss's record or they're DK Metcalf looking like the Hulk. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like we definitely make it count when we miss, but we don't miss much, in my opinion. It's just obvious misses sometimes, and that's where it hurts the most.
The Rager pick might have been a miss.
Potentially.
Yeah.
We got to give him a little bit more
Another
time.
year.
A little bit more time.
Yeah, I agree.
Exactly. Because I don't even know if Justin Jefferson would have honestly done
Not
well
with our mess. I think no matter who we had this year, it was just going to go downhill. It was what it is.
Yeah, you guys had a tough situation this year.
So yeah, let's get into the pick. Who are you? So I'll go over it one more time for everybody in the chat. Be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, share it. Do check in the description if you don't know who the Entertainah is. Come on now.
I saw somebody in your chat ask me if I'm a Knick fan. I'm a diehard Knick fan. So there you go.
So you and Brandon could get along. You and Brandon will get right along. You guys.
Yeah, I'm a diehard Knick fan.
I'm Brooklyn, baby. Hey. Brooklyn.
Now let me ask you about Brooklyn.
Okay, yeah.
Were you a Brooklyn fan before Durant or after Durant?
Oh, yeah. I'll be 100% honest. I was always a Durant fan. Like, I've loved Durant since Texas. But, like, I've been, what's it called? I've been a Nets fan since they were in Jersey and beyond. Okay. Like, he went to high school with me.
You got my respect. You got my respect. Because I lived in Brooklyn for, like, 2 years. And I'm telling you right now, I count on one hand how many Brooklyn Net hats I saw when I lived there before Durant and Kyrie Irving got there. So all of a sudden, they're the flavor of the month.
It's the same thing with the Eagles. Yeah, it's the same thing with the Eagles. I'm sure you went through it when the Giants won their Super Bowls. You get a whole bunch of bandwagon fans, and then they slowly dissipate. You know what I'm saying? But I'm kind of not happy about how Brooklyn's looking right now because we got brought to Disney World and got told that all the rides don't really work. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of how I'm feeling right now. Like I'm not able to watch the Ferris wheel or nothing. It's like everybody's always hurt. But yeah, Brooklyn, you guys I could go
beat the hell out of the Lakers last night.
It felt good. But they didn't have AD. And AD would have killed us. AD would have killed us. We have no big men.
That's what you got to worry about. Since you traded Allen, you got nobody down low. You got nobody down low.
Exactly. That's so I mean, I'm happy about the win, but it's a little jaded. It is what it is. But I'll take it. I'm a realistic fan. It is what it is. I'll take it though. So let me go quickly over the top 10. So Trevor Lawrence went number 1, Zach Wilson, Devontae Smith, Justin Fields, Penny Sewell, Jamar Chase, Trey Lance, Patrick Surtain Jr., Micah Parsons, let's go Penn State, and Kyle Pitts at number 10. So who are you going to pick and why? We'll start with the why and then, leave.
I got 3 guys I'm thinking about here. If I'm the Giants, I got 3 guys, 2 on offense, 1 on defense. If I'm thinking here, and like I've said, our biggest needs, in my opinion, are a playmaker, corner. I think we need a corner. I think that'll really help open up the defense. And I still am not sold on Matt Parrott. If I feel like there is a big-time tackle prospect that is there that could shore up the rest of that offensive line, you'd have 2 bookends going forward for a while. So, when you guys showed me the list before we went live, that was my thought process. Is it going to be Caleb Farley, a guy that I think has a ton of upside? He's 6'2". He's a man press cover corner. He'd fit this scheme beautifully. He'd fill in what I think is our biggest hole on defense. Some people may contend edge rusher. Is it going to be Rashawn Slater, who is quickly moving up draft boards? Most people feel like he's the most technically sound offensive lineman in this year's draft class. You'd be able to put him on the opposite side of Andrew Thomas. or is it going to be the wide receiver prospect that I like a lot, and that's Jalen Waddle? Jalen Waddle's explosive. You can line him up on the inside. You can line him up on the outside, and I think he would instantly become a guy that could take the top off a defense. A lot of people think he's going to run in the high 4.2s, mid 4.2s. In the end, I went with Jalen Waddle because this offseason for me is all about finding out what I have with Daniel Jones. And I'm going to have to trust that the New York Giants offensive line will have more continuity going forward, and getting a wide receiver like Waddle that's a deep play threat on the outside, a guy that I can move around, should open up the running game for Saquon Barkley. It should make them honor they won't be able to stack the box. And if they do, you have a number one threat, or a guy that you hope is a number one threat in Waddle that could take the top off the defense. But I was neck and neck between Farley, Slater, and Waddle, and I would not be upset with any one of those three selections in that spot. But I went with Jalen Waddle, who I think is the second best wide receiver in this draft class. I'm in love with Jalen Waddle. I like Waddle a lot.
I respect it.
I'm not mad at that. I mean, now let me ask you a question, though. Before you give me your reaction, Brandon, I want to ask you a question, because I want to know his size. He's 5'9", right? If I'm not mistaken.
5'10". Yeah, I think he's
5'10"-ish.
Yeah.
Do you see similarities and stuff? Like, do you think that you have that on your roster, or do you think that he has that ability to be that next level guy? Because I'm looking just at size. You know what I'm saying? That's why I kind of ask. But what do you see in him that can be different from the guys that you already do have?
Oh, we don't have anybody like him in terms of speed. I mean, Golden Tate's gone. We're going to cut him. I love Shepard. Shepard's a good route runner, but he doesn't have we don't have an explosive playmaking, at least in my opinion, wide receiver like Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle has got a very high vertical leap. I think a lot of people just look at his size, like you said, but that's the new NFL. Like, there's tons of great wide receivers that you can line up all over the field that are 5'10". Antonio Brown, I think, is like 6 foot. Odell Beckham's like 5'11". This guy's an elite athlete. I really believe that. And yeah, I'm a big fan of his. I think that he could really add a lot to the New York Giants offense. I'd be very happy with taking Jalen Waddle. Everybody's got their own opinions, but I'm a big fan of Waddle. Had it been Smith, actually, ironically enough, who I think is going to go lower than people think, I may have taken Rashawn Slater. I am actually higher on Waddle than Smith.
I mean, he was on his pace to be better.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up. I forgot who mentioned it, but that Waddle, before he got hurt, had more yards or was on pace to be better than Devontae Smith. And Devontae Smith might have benefited from Waddle getting hurt. Who knows if Devontae Smith would have been a Heisman winner if Waddle was healthy this year.
Yeah,
I think it was D Gun. So shout out to my guy Derek Gunn. That's my legend himself. Shout out to my guy. Always got to throw that in there. But yeah, no, I think that's a good pick. I'm surprised so many offensive players are off the board so early. But I think this is how it's going to go. Like I've said before when we first started this, I feel like this is the best way to do it, because we as content creators, we hear what every fan wants. And, I'm sure you look into new names once you hear them and you're like, oh, okay. So we know, they need to listen to us. We're the guys that know. But last question I do want to ask you, would you have thought of trading back? Would that have been on your mind?
Yes, I would have. If the right deal was there, absolutely, because I look at a guy like Waddle. If that's the guy I want there, Caleb Farley I'm not getting. If I trade down, I'm not getting him. He's probably going to the Niner. I would be willing to bet the Niner guy you have on is taking Caleb Farley. I think they could use a cornerback. I think he's far and away the best probably player still on the board after that, if not for Slater. So I think there's no chance I could get Slater more than likely, or Farley if I trade back to like 15, which I think could be a match if the Patriots need a quarterback. Maybe they want to, whatever. I would at least look into it. I think 15, 20, 21 are probably ideal landing spots if we trade down. But if I'm able to orchestrate a trade to 15 or 16 in that area, I still may very well be able to get Waddle and pick up additional draft capital. So I would definitely be looking to trade down if I was the Giants there in this scenario. Yes.
There's gonna be like 10 trade downs if all of the fans have our way. Like, I think every team so far has been like, yeah, I'd rather trade down. Let's just trade down. Other than the Jags, those are the only people that were like, nah, we're staying.
Yeah, Jaguars think are cool where they're at. I think they're cool where they're at.
We've been fighting for this.
What that live stream must have been a minute. Yeah, we're taking Trevor Lawrence. I'll tell you.
I didn't think of it until we got on there. So, like, shout out to one of the guys, Eric Dunn. He was like famous on Vine. Like, you remember Vine back in the day?
Yeah.
He was like huge on Vine. So like a bunch of the people in the chat knew who he was. And I didn't realize. I just know him off of the sports stuff. So people were just talking to him about that. So it kind of made it made it go longer, but I mean, everybody knew who he was going to pick. So it was kind of like, it was almost pointless, but it was a lot of fun. But yeah, I think everybody knows what's going to happen there. I mean, who knows though? Urban Meyer might pull the rug from under everybody's, feet. But hey, so Jalen Waddle at number 11 to the New York Giants. It's getting interesting. It is getting interesting. Man, I appreciate you coming on here, talking that talk with us, man. It was a lot of fun, for real. We should definitely do this again. Maybe talk some like free agency or something.
Yeah, definitely, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. Had a lot of fun. I'm kind of regretting not taking Rashawn Slater now because I love offensive linemen. But I had to make Giants fans happy. I know most Giant fans want that weapon, and I want that weapon too. And I caved in. I gave you guys Jalen Waddle. So, but I appreciate you guys having me on, man. I had an absolute blast, and yeah, man, definitely. And like I said on Twitter, I'd love to consider doing. I would love if I could somehow organize 31 other content creators to come on in like 5-minute segments and do a live stream, one shot. But it would have to be very organized. But I would love to do something like that. But I appreciate you guys having me on.
That was where my mindset was at first, and then I was like, this is not going to happen. We'll do 2 a week, and we'll have fun with it. But it has been a lot of fun and a blast. You got anything to say before we get out of here, Brandon?
No, I mean, that's a good pick. Like you said, Giant fans, I'm sure they want that weapon. You guys don't really have a scary wide receiver at all. No offense. I would have respect for Golden Tate. He's like a running back wide receiver, but other than that, it's a good pick. I respect it. I don't hope for the best, but hey.
we try to be so professional, but then we remember you're a Giants fan.
We got the 2 rivals out of the way back to back. It's okay because Washington is kind of like meh. It's just like the Giants.
That's the same thing with us. We don't hate Washington. We're like whatever.
Yeah. It's like they're just there. They're just there. It's like whatever. Yeah, just go back to your room. It's whatever. But I appreciate everybody that stuck it out with us, man. Be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe. Like I said, if you have not seen the Entertainer's work, please do hit the links in the description. He is down there. But other than that, y'all know how we always gonna end this. It doesn't matter who's the guest. Fly Eagles fly, and we are out here. Peace.